Here's three price scenarios that I'm taking a look at when it comes to Aerodrome's native token called Aero, in an event where maybe, let's say, there is a fully fledged type of altcoin season during this cycle. Even though nothing I say is financial advice, the first scenario I do want to explore is $10. Now, that's under 9x from here, around at 8.7x, and the market cap, considering current circulating supply, would be nearly $9 billion. Now, why wouldn't this surprise me maybe if it were to happen? It's because I'm a big fan of the fundamentals of Aerodrome, and let me explain why. Aerodrome is a decentralized exchange on the Base network. The Base network is Coinbase's layer 2, and I think this is pretty awesome because Coinbase, of course, publicly listed, it's even on the S&P 500, and again, I think that right there is just really cool, at least the way I take a look at it. And if we take a look at Ethereum, right, and this kind of gonna explain why I think the Base network, along with some other layer 2s, why I think they play a pretty important role. It's because Ethereum, despite having good adoption, it does have some issues. Like, for instance, the gas fees, right, which I think are sky high. I'm not a big fan of that. And also the arguable scalability issues. Now, what steps in? A layer 2 kind of basically allowing Ethereum to be enjoyed, but then at the same time, not necessarily having to deal with those drawbacks. So again, I think a layer 2 does play a very vital role. I'm a big fan of the Base network. And then, again, I get it. There are many layer 2s out there, but then just because the Base network is Coinbase's layer 2, I just think it makes it cooler than some of the others. However, even besides that, the Base network doesn't have its own native token. So to me, if I believe in that, but then there's no native token, how can I do that? Now, I'm not telling you to do anything, but my mindset is this. If I can't acquire, let's say, the native token of the Base network because it doesn't have a native token, right? What I do instead is I just believe in the projects on the Base network. Like, for instance, I believe in Aerodrome, right? I believe in its native token called Aero. I also believe in something called Toshi, which is a meme coin. Also something else called Brett, which is another meme coin. I like Ethereum layer 2s, much like the Base network, and also some others. Like, for instance, I take a look at Arbitrum, Miria, and actually, funnily enough, I'm also bullish on something called Optimism. But then the thing is, Optimism helped build the Base network in collaboration with Coinbase. So I think that's just a pretty cool thing to mention. But even besides that, some people like to say, okay, decentralized exchanges. Who cares about that? There's already a lot. But again, I think what makes Aerodrome unique and special is that it is on the Base network. Not to mention, we take a look at the decentralized finance market. It is predicted to reach over $200 billion by 2030, according to Grand V Research. So I think that's very impressive. And again, that's just a projection, but maybe if it were to happen, I would think it's pretty impressive. So this is why I'm still a big fan of Aerodrome, despite some competition out there. But I like how it's on the Base network. I like the community. I like the exchange things when it comes to Aero. And when I consider all of that, maybe arguably the idea of $10 when it comes to Aero wouldn't surprise me if, let's say, were to happen during a fully fledged type of altcoin season. Now, the second price scenario I want to take a look at is $12.50. Nearly 11x from here, and market cap, considering current circulating supply at that point, would be around $11 billion. The way you take a look at it is this. An $11 billion market cap, give or take. Like, I don't think that is something that maybe seems too outlandish. Like, for instance, Uniswap's native token called Uni. Now, Uniswap, by the way, is a very popular decentralized exchange, but even besides that, Uni, its native token, reached a market cap of over $20 billion back in 2021. Now, keep in mind, that was years ago, right? That's not maybe what it could do this time around. That's what it achieved back then. And the thing is, if it achieved that back then, what it could do this time around? This is my mentality. So this is like kind of half, basically, of what it achieved, or should I say what Uni achieved years ago. So this market cap wouldn't seem too outlandish to me, maybe, if let's say there is the hype there for the Base network, if let's say there is kind of the attention there for something like Aerodrome during a fully fledged type of altcoin season, that market cap when it comes to Aero, wouldn't really surprise me that much. But again, this is just my mentality. Now, the third and final price scenario I want to take a look at is $15 when it comes to Aero. Around a 13x from here, and market cap at that point would be nearly $13.5 billion. The way you take a look at it is this. Why wouldn't this surprise me? It's because currently there's allegedly more crypto owners than ever before in history at over 600 million. And we take a look at back in the peak of the 2021 bull run, around 300 million crypto owners. And again, that was at the peak. So basically we have double right now. And the way I take a look at it as well is that we haven't seen like a fully fledged altcoin season, arguably, in my opinion, during this cycle. And also, I don't think we've seen, maybe the ceiling of Bitcoin or Ethereum, arguably this cycle, because if let's say Ethereum went to 10 grand, if let's say Bitcoin went to 150, 250, or 300 grand or something like that, would there only be around over 600 million crypto owners, or would there arguably, let's say, be 700 million or maybe even more? Now, if that was the case, it wouldn't surprise me because the way you take a look at it is that we have this many crypto owners right now, right? And we haven't seen like Ethereum at 10 grand. We haven't seen like Bitcoin at 150 grand even, or even let alone 200. So then to me, if let's say there are those factors, let's say, again, there's a fully fledged type of altcoin season, arguably the idea of $15 when it comes to Aero, it wouldn't surprise me too much, but only time will tell. Now, some people may be thinking, okay, what is the timeline? Now, personally for me, what I can do in this case, I think arguably is just take a look at the past. Historically speaking, right, usually altcoins, typically as a worst case scenario, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event. So 18 months from the last one, which happened in April 2024, would actually mean around October this year. I don't think it's a for sure type of thing though, because that is just based off history, right? I mean, who knows, it may be different this time around. But then, if let's say it ever even does, be it November, December, or sometime around Q1 of 2026, whenever the timeline is, I just want to stay patient because I've been doing that throughout this whole time. And I'm just going to be holding and waiting, dollar cost averaging, and that's it. For me, it's not about finding the perfect moment. It's about preparing for a moment in time. So that's what I'm going to do, just holding, waiting, and that's it when it comes to Aerodrome. And I just like to keep things simple. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.